Hi, thanks for joining today. I'm Mike Thompson. We're going to be talking about proactive threat protection for WebSphere application server and WebSphere Liberty today. Just quick legal slide here. I do talk a little bit about forward direction and plans for this per IBM's standard legal disclaimer, right? Our forward direction statements do include plans that absolutely could change. So let's start by talking about what we understand from both the general market and our customers, the business risks that are impacting mission critical WebSphere applications. We know that customers are on a path towards digital transformation, modernization, building net new applications in the cloud, all absolutely critical, absolutely necessary strategies and directions needed for reacting and thriving in a much more sort of competitive digital market than we really have ever seen, absolutely accelerated by COVID. What those directions have done is increased the complexity of the environment that operation teams are tasked with managing. It is a necessary cost to gain the benefits of, agility, flexibility, sort of the economies of scale of being able to go to cloud, optimizing in containers. But that added complexity has increased the challenge faced by those operations teams that are tasked with understanding, what are my, in this case, WebSphere deployments? Are they updated? Are they following best practices? Right, getting a handle on those things that have been deployed is absolutely a challenge that our customers are facing. At the exact same time, we have an acceleration in the security risks that we see, both generally across the IT stack, but also, within Java. At the end of last year, Log4j made its sort of infamous debut, where we had, literally global headline news of vulnerabilities in the Log4j library, which was extremely popular, very widely adopted, and caused many of our customers and kind of just all over the world a need to very rapidly react and understand, are we exposed, right? What do we need to do? How do we get a hold of this? That acceleration of security risk, not always at the significance of Log4j, but absolutely an increased an increased attention from attackers across the globe on IT security is absolutely a force that our customers are responding to. And then, of course, there's the ever-present challenge of people, right? There's only so many hours in a day. WebSphere skills in particular are not the kind of skills that you learn in college. There's a very competitive job market out there. And when you combine all three of these things, right, added complexity because of the very real need to expand beyond this sort of traditional three-tier architecture, this acceleration of security risk, and of course the people challenges, that really manifests itself as a significant set of business challenges that exist and impact WebSphere application server. So through the customer conversations where we've been able to learn and understand these pain points, we've also set out to understand what kind of a solution would be most valuable to this customer base, so that we can deliver something that is meaningful, impactful, and addresses the problems that they're facing. One of the very first characteristics of that solution was a desire for increased visibility. As that environment becomes complicated, and it could just be an expansion of the things that you do today, right? More virtual machine deployments to support your growing business, the growing demands on the IT, the lack of visibility creates a significant problem in understanding, what actions need to be taken. At that exact same time, universally, the number one pain point reported through our customer conversations was the need to stay ahead of bad actors, right? Keeping an evergreen, up-to-date security posture in place was absolutely identified as one of the top security pain points. Just maintaining a high level of that security posture, staying on top of the CVEs, staying on top of the patches, that presents a real challenge around our customers. And anything that we can do to help offload tasks, to reduce the cycle time and remove manual toil, all of that as a means of simplifying the internal processes would be net beneficial. And that's exactly why automation is a great technology to apply to these areas of areas of pain. So through those customer conversations, we have been able to design and prioritize a roadmap of functionality that we believe will be extremely helpful to our customers. And that's exactly where WebSphere Automation comes in. WebSphere Automation is about helping protect, heal, and optimize customers' existing and future WebSphere environments so that they can get to value quickly, they can increase their security, resiliency, and performance, and do that in an ROI that pays back in less than 12 months. So the first area that we've really focused on excelling is in the existing security workflow. This goes back to the fact that we know that the security process, staying on top of patches, is our customers' number one pain point. It's their number one challenge. And it looks a little bit like this. Today, we generate IBM security notifications, and those can be sent to quite literally anybody. You just subscribe to the products of interest that you're wanting those notifications for, and then you get the notification. It has no knowledge of your environment. You'll get notifications for every version of that product. As long as there's a security bulletin out there, you'll be notified. So what that means is a human being needs to read and understand that and say, is this applicable to me? Does this matter to my environment? And the way to do that is to understand what your inventory is. And very often, perhaps too often, we were told by our customers that maintenance of that inventory information was done manually, whether that's a spreadsheet or a manually maintained database. At some point, the human being was required to get into that flow, make sure these things were updated. And that was the source of truth to be able to decide, is this a vulnerability that matters to me? Now, that may not be the only step that you need to take. There may be a follow-on discussion with, a security focal in the organization. There may be a policy at play that says any CVE higher than severity 8 needs to be patched within 30 days. Whatever the organizational constraints are, whatever the organizational guidance is, at some point, a fix is going to need to be applied, whether that's an iFix or waiting for to be included in the next fix pack upgrade. At some point, the environment's going to change. That information then needs to be updated into that system of record, right? Whether that's the spreadsheet or the manually maintained database. And then very, very often, there's a compliance officer or entity within the enterprise that wants to know, did you patch that thing? Was it patched within the policy window, right? What did you patch within 30 days? Being able to demonstrate that evidence is very often necessary that the operations team needs to provide. So that is why we have focused in WebSphere Automation on providing proactive CVE protection for WebSphere. We know that staying on top of the latest security vulnerabilities and deploying those fixes is burdensome. So with WebSphere Automation's capabilities that we're going to look at today, we help you ensure continuous security compliance because we automate the vulnerability assessment, remediation, and ultimately fix tracking so that we can accelerate your time to remediation. That will help you reduce your risk. And all of the evidence that we provide, all of the data of detection and resolution is exposed and available through exportable exportable CSVs and accessible over REST APIs. Now, that's not the only thing WebSphere Automation does. It also has the ability to integrate with Instana APM to deliver a reduced time to resolution on disruptive memory leaks. I feel this is very important to talk about because we know that every application estate has memory leaks, right? While WebSphere has been around for a large number of years, applications are always being developed, and especially newer applications or even existing applications that are undergoing active development can be a source of memory leaks in the environment. So while WebSphere Automation absolutely understands your WebSphere environment and helps you understand and stay on top of security vulnerabilities, we also have this capability of helping you understand the source of memory leaks so that you can speed time to corrective action. Now, all of those capabilities are ultimately powered by the most foundational capability of WebSphere Automation, which is automated inventory tracking. So I talked about the fact that we have teams that we know are manually maintaining this system of record. They track by hand what's been deployed. That is a source of manual, data entry problems. It's a burden on a team to maintain. So at the heart of what WebSphere Automation does is it automates the inventory tracking of your WebSphere environment so that you don't have to do that, so that you have an accurate single source of truth that you can use that spans environments. You can track your traditional WebSphere, whether that's base or ND. You can track your Liberty servers, whether they're in virtual machines or deployed to containers. You can see all of that from that single pane of glass. And then that gives the operations teams the data that they need to be able to understand and react rapidly when an incident occurs. So how do we do this? Well, it's provided through a little bit of configuration in Liberty and in traditional WebSphere. We essentially require 3 bits of information. We need a registration URL, which you connect to and is provided as part of WebSphere Automation. There's an API key so that you can authenticate into that URL, and then you establish SSL trust. That's it. That's all that's needed to be provided. We make that information very easy to get at through WebSphere Automation's interface. And once configured, that actually enables the WebSphere application servers themselves to register themselves with WebSphere Automation. This is an agentless model. You don't need to install additional processes. You can update your installations in place exactly as they are today with this configuration and get connected to WebSphere Automation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to a video recording of one of our lead engineers, Martin Smithson, to show you the demo of how Fix Automation can work.
Hi, I'm Martin Smithson and I'm an architect on WebSphere Automation, and today I'm going to demonstrate the new fixed deployment capabilities of the product. So let's start by showing you the dashboard for WebSphere Automation. As you can see, there are no servers currently registered in this instance of WebSphere Automation. So the first thing that we need to do is to register a server. In this demo, I'm going to be using an instance of WebSphere running inside a virtual machine. So the first thing we need to do is to start the server. We can see that this is just a 9057 instance of traditional WebSphere. It's got no other fixes installed, and it's already been configured to register itself with my WebSphere Automation instance when it starts. So if we switch back to the WebSphere Automation dashboard, pretty quickly you can see the registered server appear. Now, WebSphere Automation is already able to determine whether any of the CVEs that have been published in security bulletins apply to the servers that are registered with it. And you can see here that it's determined that there are 25 CVEs that apply to this registered server. If we click on the CVE that's displayed, we can see that this is the 0-day vulnerability that was discovered with Log4j back in December of last year. And we can click the View button to see the security bulletin that actually references this CVE. The details in the security bulletin confirm that it applies to our version of WebSphere Application Server, and it also describes which iFix or which fix pack needs to be installed in order to resolve the CVE. Now, all of these capabilities were already part of WebSphere Automation in previous releases, but what we've done as part of the fix deployment work is to add a prepare fix link to each of the servers that get listed in the affected servers table that you can see here. And when you click on the prepare fix link, you're taken to a panel that enables you to specify one of the applicable fixes that can be installed in order to resolve the CVE. Now, an important point to note here is that you're not being presented with the 905.11 fix pack, you're being presented with the latest fix pack available. You may also notice that the name of the interim fix that you're being presented with doesn't match the name of the fix that was mentioned in the security bulletin. Now, the reason for this is that the original fix was published way back in December when the Log4j vulnerability was first detected. And since then, a number of other fixes have been published that also include this fix. So WebSphere Automation is presenting you with the most recent fix that will resolve this particular vulnerability. So we're going to select the interim fix and then click the Fetch and Install button. And at this point, we're presented with a confirmation dialog that enables us to toggle whether we're going to create a backup as part of the install. We're not going to do that. We'll just click the Proceed button. And this will create an installation within WebSphere Automation that captures the details of the fix we want to install and the server we want to install it on. If we click on the installation that's been created, we can see that it's in the Preparing Fixes state. Now, what WebSphere Automation is doing at this point is it's reaching out to the Fix Central site in order to order the fix that's been specified and download it back into WebSphere Automation. Obviously, the amount of time that it takes to download the fix is going to vary depending on the size of the fix and the connection speed for the pod that's performing the download. So for the purposes of this demo, we've shortened the sequence. Once the download is complete, WebSphere Automation can move on to the next stage of the installation process, which is to actually install the fix onto the target server. At the risk of getting a little too technical, WebSphere Automation does this by dynamically creating a new pod within the OpenShift environment to perform the installation. And within this pod, we use an Ansible playbook to SSH into the target server in order to perform the various tasks required to complete the installation. Obviously, the amount of time that it takes to install the fix is going to vary depending on a number of factors. So again, we've shortened the sequence here for demo purposes. Once the installation is complete, the pod terminates and the status of the installation is updated in WebSphere Automation. The log files for the pod that perform the installation are also retrieved and made available via the WebSphere Automation UI so that you can use them to debug any failed installations. If we navigate to the fix history view for the server, we can see that there are a number of new entries that are related to the interim fix that we've just installed. Recall that the interim fix that we specified included a number of previous fixes that had all been rolled up into one. And each of those included fixes is represented as a separate row in this table. It's also worth noting that the fix history shows that a total of 11 CVEs have been resolved as a result of installing this interim fix. And that's reflected in the number of unresolved CVEs that's shown for the server. So what we've shown during this demonstration is how WebSphere Automation can help simplify the process of applying patches to the servers in your WebSphere estate. Thank you for watching.
All right. So as Martin just showed, WebSphere Automation is able to provide notifications which automatically recognize when a CVE is exposed in the environment. As you saw in the demo video, what actually happened there is, as Martin started up that server, it registered itself with WebSphere Automation. WebSphere Automation, which knows about the vulnerabilities that have been reported against WebSphere, the bulletins that IBM publishes that describe not only what the vulnerability might be, but also how to fix it. WebSphere Automation has all of that knowledge. So as soon as that server started up, it registered itself with WebSphere Automation. WebSphere Automation was able to determine that it had a variety of CVEs, including the Log4j vulnerability, and then step through how to actually install the iFix to make that to fix that particular issue. So with WebSphere Automation, we have automated vulnerability detection, automated patching, and as Martin also showed, we record the fix history. So as the environment changes, whether that is done through WebSphere Automation or perhaps through scripts that you might use and call yourself, WebSphere Automation also records the changes that have happened to it so that it knows when patches were applied, when they were rolled back, when fix packs were upgraded, etc., so that you have a full trail of the changes that occurred to a given server and also across the environment. Now, why have we invested in WebSphere Automation? What part does that play in the overall story? Well, we believe automation is a key element of modern application environments. If you think about the sort of overall WebSphere story, we have recently brought out in the last couple of years WebSphere Hybrid Edition, which really exemplifies our build and modernize technology. It's the place that you can get access to traditional WebSphere, Liberty, support for Open Liberty, and our modernization tools, Transformation Advisor and Mono to Micro. It essentially gives you all of the flexibility that you need to run the applications that you need across a variety of platforms. And we support the ability to deploy anywhere, right? Whether that's on-prem, in public clouds such as Amazon or Azure. We want WebSphere to be available everywhere across all of those different form factors. And where automation comes in is as a way to help you operate effortlessly those existing and future environments so that you do not need to react manually to the plethora of events that will invariably happen, both security and health related. So as we look a little towards the future, we know of the two sort of key areas of investment that we are currently evaluating and are intending to deliver at a future date and time. Of course, dates and direction may change, but to give you a sense of where this is going, we understand the acceleration into cloud native, right? Whether that is running OpenShift or a container environment on premises, or taking those applications that you've built, modernizing them and bringing them to cloud. No matter what kind of modernization or new transformation that you're doing, there's absolutely a shift towards more cloud native technologies, more container adoption, and where WebSphere Automation has been sort of reasonably focused on the existing environments that customers have. We do support containerization today. We do support WebSphere and Liberty running in containers connected to WebSphere Automation, and we're going to expand on that particular story, sort of integrating with DevOps tools, being aware of software bill of materials, those kinds of activities that are becoming very positively standards in a lot of organizations. We also know that while staying on top of security vulnerabilities absolutely is our customers' number one pain point, a very close second is the sort of burden that's put on operations teams to react to the variety of health events and health conditions that occur, right? It's everything from the memory leaks that I talked about to unresponsive JVMs or resource pools being exhausted, right? Configuration and certificates expiring. There's a lot of activities that the operations teams essentially have to mitigate in order for a long-lived, healthy, high availability uptime environment. So cloud native automation and expanding the problem determination and assistance that WebSphere Automation can provide, those are our two main areas of sort of near-term focus. So hopefully this has sounded interesting to you. If you'd like to try it out, we have a couple different evaluation options. You can try it out in less than an hour through our hosted trial. You can go to ibm.biz/WSA trial. And what you get is a real running instance of WebSphere Automation and an associated virtual machine that has Liberty and traditional WebSphere already installed. And you can actually step through the activities that Martin showed. All you need is an IBM ID and a browser. You essentially register and you get an email with the login credentials. It's easily the simplest way to sort of kick the tires and try WebSphere Automation out for yourself. If there is something that you want to try in-house in your own data center, we do have a 60-day evaluation option, so you can bring WebSphere Automation in. You can install it yourself. You can play with it. You can stand it up against your own servers and sort of run that proof of concept as you'd very much like to. And with that, let me say thank you very much. This has been a really fantastic journey with the WebSphere customers. If you're interested in getting engaged and involved, I would highly recommend joining the WebSphere Customer Advisory Board. You can learn more about that through the WebSphere middleware user group community. That is a means by which we can stay engaged, hear your feedback, incorporate that into our roadmap planning for WebSphere Automation and other elements of the WebSphere portfolio. And with that, I'll close the webinar today, say thank you very much for the time, and have a great weekend.